Well, one thing definitely good to say about silver is that it withstands the test of time. Empires have fallen, and silver's still here with us. One damn good thing about it, and one damn good thing about gold, of course. So, we're just waiting for the empire to fall. That's really what's going on. Taking a hell of a long time, though, isn't it? You know, the empire falls. Theoretically, everybody panics into real hard assets like gold and silver, and people have bought them early. They could trade those assets for some other assets where depress prices, and you will move ahead faster than the pack. The game is actually net sum zero, but some people are going to be winners and some people are going to be losers. Now, I'm going to mention a couple common sense things. I know I was hearing all this stuff about, investigations of J.P. Morgan and all this kind of garbage. To tell you the truth, I can care less about that stuff because I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think it's going anywhere at all. But something tells me, plain common sense, as all the silver pumpers have been saying, that it's a bad thing. But, I agree with that 110%, is that, at one point in time, they're just going to keep holding back, and the whole damn thing's going to blow up in their face, They can only hold it back so much. But the question is it being held back so much? Even though the price is around 27 today, hey, a couple years ago it was only 18, and it wasn't that many years ago it was 4. So they're not being very successful in holding back the price. We all want it to go to $500 an ounce to get wealthy and all that type of stuff. But that's not reality. That's the problem. I got to actually mention a couple things because I actually got to keep my brain in tune and not listen too much to people that are fixated too much on silver. But I didn't think it is. But, I can imagine if I was stating back on the end of February when silver went up to about 37 right before Ben Bernanke spoke, well, right around that time, right before he spoke, it hit about 37. If I said I'm selling all my silver, I'm going to buy soybeans. Boy, I would have got killed from the silver crowd, but that would have been a stellar move. God, that would have been smart. I would have doubled my money. And so I don't like having tunnel vision too much on any one investment. That's one thing I think is extremely important. But right now, I feel pretty, I'm of the type of thinking silver is not a risk asset. Gold is definitely not a risk asset. But, the average investor thinks of silver as a risk asset because it's highly volatile and all this kind of garbage. Now, I don't even understand why, professional investor would think of gold as a risk asset. To me, that's nuts because gold really is money. Silver, you can argue that it's not exactly money. It was money at one point in time, but basically in the last 100 years or so, it's a commodity. I know it was in the coins, but really, we got rid of the bimetallism back in 1873 in this country. So, it's a commodity, right? Now, there's one thing I want to put in some reality. Today it's up a little bit. It actually exceeded 28, which was nice. I personally wouldn't feel any good till it exceeds 48. I think that's more like it. But all the markets were up, so that's why a lot of the metals are going up. Actually, oil's up. Oil was doing pretty good today, and that's possibly over tensions in Iran, like the usual deal. And they did blow up this. The Kurds blew up this oil line that was going from Iran to Turkey. So that helped bring up the price of oil today. Just as a side note, the Kurds, the rebels, you might not have heard that, but they blew up this oil line that went from Iran over to Turkey. So that's another thing. Now, I just want to point out where you're going to get some serious gains and some serious pullbacks is all upon psychology and what people are saying. Now, this is something I want to look at very carefully because it's not in the charts. I should pull up a Dania chart, but I'll do that some other time, maybe tomorrow. But it's not on the charts, and I'm gonna do my own little method of things because I don't think you can actually guess which way the market's going to go so much from the charts, except for maybe using Fibonacci over a longer period of time. I think reading the type of personalities and what their reactions going to be and human reactions are going to be is a smarter strategy, and that's what I'm going to go by. I have to say, Ben Bernanke, he's going to be true to his word. He doesn't seem like it right now. He's been holding off on QE forever and a day. I know every time he does anything, he gets blasted for being too easy with the money policy and wrecking the financial system and stuff. But if he was doing that, the price of gold would be going way to hell up. Definitely gold. So gold you can use as a good barometer of what's going on in inflation, the real inflation. So he's not exactly doing that right now, but he will. He will. I don't think he's going to change his whole nature overnight, despite the criticism of him. Mario Draghi, he's in the same, the European. He's in the same camp. Now this is an interesting chart because this is right after Bloomberg, the public chart for the Spanish government bonds, 2-year notes. Look at these yields, right? They're going way up through the roof, and they're saying, "Oh God, the whole thing's going to fall apart." Then Mario Draghi spoke. Then inside of like a couple weeks, they're down below 4%. Right? They thought they were starting to get up near 7%. They dropped like a stone because he spoke. That's what I'm talking about. And this is the type of talk that can drive the metals too. But I'm telling you, well, people could do what they want because I know people are going to get mad at me if I sell silver. And it's not that I have the intention of like keeping a bunch of toilet paper cash. But I realize if markets start jumping up doing the psychological fears, a lot of times those trends have a way of reversing themselves. There's no such thing as things going to the moon. No such thing. And if that's the case, your currency is not worth anything. But that is not going to happen with the U.S. dollar. I highly suspect that. It's not going to happen. The dollar's going to get devalued, but it's not going to go to oblivion. That's where some of the physical silver people are making a mistake. Some of them. Maybe not people who are listening to me because they kind of know where I stand. But the dollar's not going to total oblivion. I think we're going to go into strong inflation. It's going to be coming around the corner. And, my big suspicion is the next place that's going to see the crash is in the equities. Not necessarily the bond market. You might see that afterwards, but in the equities. Like I was talking about the Dow and the S&P, they're not that far off their highs. Dow's still up around 13,000, right? It's a little over 13,000, excuse me. It's 13,172 right now as we speak. And, the S&P is up there and the NASDAQ, and everything's up not that far from the highs they had, their best highs. So, I'm looking at other things like the primary manufacturing index, which tells you manufacturing stinks. Commodity prices are down all across the board for like the last several months. And the Baltic Dry Index, which shipping is down. And then I talked about that damn garbage index where the trains that haul garbage, trash back and forth, that's down, which means GDP is down. But the markets are up. See, that's the next place I'm going to see the problem. Now, I know people might, well, I don't know if they're going to, me, the way I think, and a lot of people with silver and gold think, they'll panic into the metals. Like, in other words, what we consider safety, other people consider risk. But I consider it safety because physical metals are safety, despite what these morons think. They'll figure it out eventually when I sell it to them at $1,000 an ounce for silver. But anyway, the people, when the markets go down, what's really going to happen when the stock and equities markets, which are too high right now, because everything else is looking bad. Everything across the board. Not just in the United States is actually not even looking as bad. It's across the whole rest of the world. It's looking worst. But, I have a sneaking suspicion the United States numbers are cooked because the garbage index, I'm going to say that again, the damn garbage index has a very high correlation to the GDP, and it's down very bad. But the GDP's not down. Why is that? That doesn't really make sense. But everywhere else in the world is down. So I got a feeling that our numbers are cooked in the United States. So when it does affect the markets, and I'm kind of suspecting that they're being held up artificially, I know that's always been a conspiracy theory out there, but I suspect they are being held up artificially. And when they crash, then you're going to see Bernanke act hard. Then the metals are going to fly. But I don't think the metals are going to correct anywhere near like the percentage-wise like the markets are going to correct. So, just hang on. It's boring. It's boring as shit. I know. It's boring because I'm going to tell you this right now. When people start getting all excited about silver, you better start thinking about, well, you can do what you want. I know what I'm doing. I'm thinking about selling it. When silver starts getting exciting, like, hey, it's going up $2 today. Hey, it moved up $10 inside of 3 weeks, right? It's everything else isn't doing as good as silver. When you start hearing that kind of crap, oh, it's exciting. Everybody's going to be out there. All the bloggers are going to be out there telling you, oh, yeah, see, I told you that it's the best investment in the world. And you better, well, people can do what they want. But I know it might not be the ultimate high, but that's when I'm going to start selling some. Because my feet are rooted in reality. And, I'm picking up on this game better and better and better. I think silver is a fantastic investment. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to hold toilet paper cash forever. But, if I see some serious gains, that stuff's going goodbye, physical too. But not all of it. Now, I want to point out something else about this. God, this is another hot topic. I might sound a little cynical, sarcastic, but I'm not. Because I look at things very realistically. They got this damn investigation going on for like gazillion years. The commodities, the Futures Trading Commission, right? CFTC. This has been going on forever. They've been investigating, the short position of J.P. Morgan's has on silver and all this garbage. It's going on before. I'm not saying it's not real or not. I'm not trying to say it's a fake thing that everybody's accusing J.P. Morgan of. I'm just saying is, do you really think this stupid organization is going to change anything? Hell no. And what's that mean to your investment? What does it mean to your investment? It's kind of screwed up, isn't it? Because they're just going to keep holding the price down. Well, I got my other ideas on that, and it does really go back to just buying physical silver more than buying going into electronic accounts, which is something I do. But at one point in time, it is going to catch up to these guys, and then they're screwed. But when I look at it like this, I see some reality. I don't want to hear about rumors about, because I think in many cases these rumors play the silver investors left and right about what to do and which way the price is going to go. And I am concerned with that. Shit, I would love to sell high and buy low. Just keep doing that. I mean, silver can sit in a range between, 26 and 40, and it just bounces around. I kept selling it high and buying it back low. I mean, I'd be fine with that too, right? But, if there's this big conspiracy out to hold it down all the time. But as long as I know the direction of it, I can care less. But right now, everything is looking so damn flat, it's like you don't want to play around with this stuff. It's like too low to short it, and it doesn't seem like it's going to go up unless, you get a clear signal from Bernanke. So, I have to say this, you're not going to see anything change that easy until something else crashes the system from the outside. And that might happen. It could be the derivatives. And you know what I think it's going to be? Plain common sense. I swear to God, I mean, they're not going to investigate J.P. Morgan in a real fashion. They're not going to do that. But just plain common sense. The government's spending itself into oblivion. They can't possibly raise the interest rates, or else they'll be loaded down with so much debt they would really fall apart even faster. So the interest rates got to stay slow as all hell. The only policy is money expansion, more money printing, and more. That's the only way they can actually stimulate the economy and move things along. So all those factors are going to be bullish for the metals. But the one thing I said that I expect, and this is where I expected silver to really explode, and this is where I've been wrong, because I expected a war with Iran. Not that it would be a policy by the administration, like by Brzezinski or something like that, or Leon Panetta or whatever, and Obama. I just figured that Israel might jump the gun on it, and it's really anybody's guess when that could happen. But if there is a war with Iran, I think that situation would be, not only would oil fly through the roof, probably like to $150 to $200 a barrel, like in no time. Not only would oil fly through the roof, but so would gold. And you know what? That would easily, I think, alone bring up silver past $40 easily, right away. War is going to be extremely bullish for commodities. Now, I don't have control over that, and to tell you the truth, I don't think anybody knows. I don't think there is an absolute rigid timetable on anything. It's like if a situation presents itself, just using common sense, situation presents itself, and Iran does something that enough that looks like an aggressive move, the war is going to start just like that. So there's a million things here. Me being wrong about that, because I expected them to attack Iran by late spring or early summer. Right now we're in late summer, so that timetable is way off. But I really thought the impetus would be from Israel more than anything. And hasn't happened. It still could happen any day, though. There's a lot of stuff that's coming up, where we could still have a false flag attack or whatever. But that will really move the metals. That will move the metals fast. Because gold, I think, would fly, oil would fly, and silver would start taking off. And if this war costs more money than they expect, or doesn't go as well as they think, and there's more of a crisis situation, or if the U.S. gets tarnished in it somehow, if the U.S. military might gets tarnished in the outcome from this, that would be extremely bad for the U.S. dollar. Basically, the U.S. military might is holding up the U.S. dollar. There's no doubt about that. So, my angle is this. It's a lot of ways common sense. So, I could dig out every stupid chart there is, and I could prove an argument one way or the other. I think a lot of people like that stuff. They like hearing that kind of garb. They like seeing that. They like hearing that. But in reality, it's probably not the best way to go about things. You got to look at the human element. And, the war with Iran is definitely coming up at some point, not that far off in the future. You could see the writing on the wall. It's not going to just be peaceful outcome. There's no way. So that's going to be extremely bullish for all commodities, including silver, gold, and oil. So, hang on. It's a boring game. It's a boring game. But when silver gets real exciting, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to start thinking about selling it. That would be the smart thing to do.